Came at 3 o'clock. Somewhere late, wasn't it? Anyway, sorry to keep you waiting. And I'm still chanting on the last beats that I just got, almost done. So we just finished that round, and then we can carry on. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Namayam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Saraswati Devi Bhagavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sanyamani Pasyatyani Satarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Bhagavani Pracharine Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shirodhari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, All glories to the Assembled. All glories to the Assembled. All glories to all glories to Sri Bhagavad-gita. So the first thing we will do is who's assisting me in the yoga? The first thing we will do is give everyone the Achman cup. If we give everyone the Achman cups, then we can do Achman first. So please repeat after me. Om Apavitra Pavitruva Sarvavasta Tatuptiva Yasmare Pundarikaksam Sabaya Yantara Suchi Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Then we can just take the spoon in the right hand and scoop a little water in our right hand and then throw it. Then we put 3 drops in the left hand and throw. Okay. Put it in the middle. Yeah. Okay. Take a spoon in the left hand and put 3 drops in the right hand. Look at the water and say, Om Kesavaya Namaha. While sitting. Okay. Kesavaya Namaha. Then 3 drops in the right hand and throw. Three drops in the right hand. Om Narayana Namaha. Sit. And 3 drops and throw. And then 3 drops in the right hand. Om Madhavaya Namaha. And 3 drops and throw. So so then what we'll do is first now we will speak a little bit about the meaning of initiation, and then those who will take first initiation will give them, they will take their vows and we'll give the names, and after that we'll do the yajna. So, Om Jnana Timirannasya Jnanana Salakya Chakshurum Militam Tasmai Shri Gurudeva Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katmayam Dadati Swaparantikam Vandeham Siguro Sri Yutapadakamanam Sigurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sivisakam Vidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyacha Kripa Sindhuvyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the essence of Diksha is transmitting transcendental knowledge. Such transcendental knowledge is found in the scripture, yet also realized in the heart. It is stated in scripture, Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam, that the transcendental knowledge remains hidden within the heart of a Vaishnava. The spiritual master is somehow or other the representative of Krishna. He has received transcendental knowledge in disciplic succession. He is the representative of the scriptures. He's the representative of the Supreme Lord. He's the representative of the previous acharyas. And in this way, the spiritual master is a bona fide link in the Sampradaya. Our offerings are made to our spiritual master. It is, we are receiving mercy through the spiritual master, and we're also offering back to the spiritual master. We become the personal servant of the spiritual master. It is said that there are different ways one can be a servant. There is the general spirit of dasya, or the general mood of servitorship, where one can basically offer anything that is bona fide and anything that is authorized in scripture or by previous acharyas. And then there is the mood of the personal attendant, which is called kinkar. The mood of personal attendant is that one must offer particularly what is wanted at the time. Although milk, juice and water are all bona fide, still there may be a different desire at a different point in time. Sometimes we want milk, then we don't want juice or we don't want water. Sometimes we want water, then we don't want milk or juice. So in this way, the personal attendant has to be particularly attentive to the desire of the spiritual master. So as a disciple, we are as much as possible acting as the personal attendant, and when there is no specific instruction, then we act according to the general standards of devotional service. In this way, we are the servant of the spiritual master. He is the representative of Krishna. Through him, Krishna manifests himself. He is the external manifestation of the Supersoul. Of course, one day someone called me and said, "Are you the external manifestation of the Supersoul?" I felt it was intense. Something was going on. And the person asked me, he said, "Do you know what I'm thinking right now?" I says, "Yes, I know what's on your mind. It's quite clear." Doubt. Yeah. The spiritual master may or may not know what we think. That does not diminish his role as the external manifestation of the Supersoul. Rather, as the external manifestation of the Supersoul, he is revealing to us transcendental knowledge. It's not that he has to be a mind reader, but he has to be able to, he gives us transcendental knowledge, and as he gives us transcendental knowledge, he's not just a professor, not just someone who has studied the scripture and therefore knows what instruction is suitable for what occasion. Krishna is also there. Krishna also enters into the relationship. And Krishna is also working through the spiritual master. And in this way, Krishna will also reveal what he desires through the spiritual master. Krishna also empowers the spiritual master in this way. So by no means is the relationship an external one. Krishna enters into the relationship and is present there. Therefore, we should fully commit to it. We should not be too worried. Is he Uttam, is he Madhyam Uttam, is he Kanista Uttam, or Urang Uttam? All these things are now not so important. Yeah. The essence really is, he is Krishna's representative, and he and Krishna is working through him. Now we must dedicate ourselves wholeheartedly in his service, because that is how we will attract Krishna. That is Krishna's system, as simple as that. If we wish to attract Krishna, we must serve a spiritual master. Therefore, on our Parikramas, many of you were there, I was mentioning from the Nectar of Devotion, Ado Guru Padasraya, which is the first of the 64 limbs of bhakti mentioned by Srila Rupa Goswami. And this first limb, Ado, Ado means also Adar. It also means the foundation. It means that the foundation of our entire spiritual life is that relationship with our spiritual master. Otherwise, ye mantra nisvalamata, that without dedication to the mantra or to the initiation which the spiritual master is giving us, then everything will not be fruitful. So we must somehow or other dedicate ourselves wholeheartedly. That's not so easy, because even at the time when we promise, even when we make a promise, we are not able to promise, and we're not able to actually give ourselves completely. Not at the first initiation, not at the second initiation, and not at the sannyas initiation either, that we are actually completely surrendered. That is an ongoing process. Surrender is not a one-time thing. Surrender is an ongoing process. Surrender is in the moment. It is every moment again. That is the very nature of Parakiya Ras. The secret of our movement is that there is this Parakiya Ras as the topmost, the paramour relationship, and not the Swakiya Ras, the marriage relationship. Because in the Parakiya, in the paramour relationship, one has no rights. One has to conquer every time. We cannot say to Krishna, now I've served so much. I've served for 50 years. Now it must be good enough. No. No. For 50 lifetimes, is it now good enough? No. 50,000 lifetimes, is that good enough? No. Again and again we have to surrender. Again, in the moment, we have to conquer. So that is the relationship with Krishna, and also the relationship with our spiritual master. So now with the spiritual master we practice like that. Guru Sunara Matir, we should not treat him like an ordinary living being. We should take it that Krishna is now manifesting through my spiritual master. Then comes our turn as disciple. When it is our turn as disciple, we naturally realize that we're falling short, that we are simply trying, but that we are not very perfectly situated. So, as disciples, we are trying to learn. At this time of the initiation, we are making a commitment. We're making a commitment which we are sincere about, to the extent that we are able to be sincere. Kunti Devi is explaining, Janma Iswaya Sruta Sibir Egamana Gadapumam Naivarati Abhidata Vai Tamma Kinchila Gocharam. She says that as long as we are attached to our position of birth, to our position of wealth, to our position of learning, or our position of beauty, As long as we're attached to any of them or all of them, we cannot approach the Supreme with sincere feeling. So then our sincerity is incomplete. So here we are, very sincerely going to take vows, but to what extent do we have the capacity to even be sincere? But we are taking shelter of the process, and as part of that process, we came into the association of devotees, and now we're taking first initiation, some are taking second initiation, and in this way we're going through a process, and that process is purifying us. Also, we are every year observing the Vyasa Puja of our spiritual master. Today is the Vyasa Puja of my spiritual master, His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj, and so for my disciples naturally also, because since my spiritual master is still present on the planet, my spiritual master, as I'm not a direct disciple of Srila Prabhupada, but rather a disciple of His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami, then he is absolute for me. Right? So obviously it cannot be that someone who's absolute for me will not be absolute for my disciples. Right? So he's also absolute for my disciples. He's not just another sannyasi. But Maharaj has chosen not to actively enter into the relationship with my disciples by instructing them. Sometimes some of my disciples go there for instruction, and then he sends them back and says, ask your spiritual master. He's very smart. But of course he has the right, to instruct, but not to confuse matters. He chooses not to, and leaves that matter to my care. But some of my disciples know him and are connected with him also. And that is very nice. So, in Parampara we serve. That is simply our mood, to serve. So, we are being initiated in serving. And in the first initiation, we are fixing ourselves to serve. And fixing ourselves in that identity to be the servant. In the second initiation, we're going to fix ourselves in improving the quality of our service. A better level of service. Samodamas tapo sauchang santir ajam evacha jnana vijnanam asti jnanam brahma karma svabhavajam. Sama, to be equipoised. Whatever happens, equipoised. Dhamma, sense-controlled. Samodamas tapo, to be ready to perform austerity, to control the senses, to faithfully chant even when we are tired. Samodamas tapo saucham, to be clean internally, externally. Arjavam, to be simple, to be straightforward, to be honest, nothing to hide. Jnanam, to have knowledge, to have wisdom, realization of knowledge. And even religiousness, these are the qualities by which the Brahmanas work. So, like that, we are cultivating qualities of goodness and going further. So the initiations are part of a process. They are milestones that help us along the way. I was for a little while doing a little study on vows. And as I was studying the vows, I was these monkeys in this book. More and more monkeys, because more and more people behave like monkeys. Then they go down to the monkey form of life. So we must be careful. So I was studying vows, and I had a look at what was going on in other traditions. Then I came to the Benedictine monks, and what they were doing is, when they actually moved into a monastery, they would give their worldly clothes and get their devotional clothes. The monks would carefully take the worldly clothes, pack them very nicely, seal them very properly, and put them away on a shelf. Then, when the time for initiation would come, they would write the initiation vows on a scroll, some paper roll, and then they would offer that scroll, after they'd spoken the vows, the scroll on the altar, and there was a golden book, and their name would be written in the golden book. Right? Then, if for some reason they later on decided that it would be too difficult to follow these vows, then they could go and ask for their old clothes, and then the old clothes would be taken from the shelf. The spiritual clothes would be taken, would be nicely folded, packed very carefully, and put on the shelf. Right? And then they would get their material clothes back. Of course, their name would still be in the book. They would not take the name out of the book. Name would stay. So the vows were still there. So it is very nice. You know, I liked their process. And I was thinking, yes, our name is also will be written in the book, right? We make our vows, and these vows will remain. They will not disappear. And whether it is the second or the first initiation doesn't matter. It's a vow, right? We're not just in the second initiation. We're not speaking a vow, but still it's a vow. It's a vow to live by Brahminical standards. It's no less a vow than the first initiation, although we're not asked, I formally vow herewith to live by Brahminical standards. But that's the vow we're taking. So, as we are receiving the mantras, we are meant to live in the mode of goodness. We are meant to embrace that and not say, well, what can I do? There is no more what can I do. In the Brahminical life, there is no such thing as what can I do. In Brahminical life, it is that we actually are keeping our commitment. It's not about making the commitment, we keep it. We keep it. So it is a big vow also, like the first initiation. Actually, quite it's a big increase of commitment. Because first we just promised to chant 16 rounds and follow 4 regulated principles, and we didn't worry about the modes, you know. Let the mode of passion, a bit of mode of ignorance. No, we are vowing to embrace the mode of goodness. Minimum. Just as in the first initiation we're asking 16 rounds minimum. In the second we're asking the mode of goodness minimum. Minimum. That's the lowest level. I have, this morning we were filming some analogies, and I have one analogy, which is the analogy of the tightrope. Did you see at Govardhan yesterday this girl dancing on the rope? She's pretty good, you know. She's jumping and doing all kinds of things. So she was expert. So imagine you have a rope very, very high, and you walk on that rope. If the rope is the transcendental platform. Under the rope there is a net. It is the net of the mode of goodness. The mode of goodness is like a net of many strings of rules and regulations. So many rules, so many regulations we follow. That is the mode of goodness. So it forms like a net. The cord in top of the tent, all the way up there, that cord is very narrow for those who go on transcendence only in a mood of renunciation. Then it's very narrow and one can easily fall down. Then one winds up in the net, in the mode of goodness. Second best. However, if one is on the transcendental platform with at least some attraction to Krishna, to serve him with eagerness and with love, the road becomes wider. And for one who is in love of God, the path is completely wide. And such a person just walks on that road, doesn't need any stick for balancing, nothing, can just walk there completely in ecstasy. So the second initiation also offers us more than Brahminical qualities. It also offers us several mantras that are pointing at love of God. Of course, those who take second will get later on a private detailed description of that. But meanwhile, these are all steps on the way. First initiation, milestone, it never goes away. Whether we want it to stay or whether we don't want it to stay, it stays. The vows can bring us many beautiful things if we follow them wholeheartedly, and if we don't follow them, the vows will beat our heart. If we try to walk away from the vows of initiation, then these vows continue to beat our heart wherever we go, whatever we do. And when we follow them, then the vows begin to produce wonderful, wonderful things. So this is actually very profound. So the vows will stay, no matter what. Therefore, we should invest in them. And just as we are having here a sacrificial fire, not yet lit, so the fire will be consuming so many offerings. Swaha, we're throwing in all the grains. And all these offerings that we are making into the fire is like that. The fire wants to eat. Remember that Arjuna had to help Agni to eat the Kadamba forest because Agni was hungry and Agni wanted to eat the whole forest, and Arjuna helped, and then for that he got his chariot and so many things. So in this way, Agni, the fire, needs to eat. So we also in the beginning offering something, an arti and something to the fire. Fire will eat. We will offer the grains, the oblations, and the demigods will take these offerings, take the punya from these offerings. So just as the fire consumes so many things, in the same way the vows itself consume. Because in the beginning, you don't have to do so much. You somehow or other chant Hare Krishna 16 rounds and yeah, you're doing. But over time, it gets more difficult. More difficult? I thought it would get more easy. No. It all gets more difficult. How is that? Why? It gets more difficult in the sense that we have to offer more. In the beginning, only so much surrender. As time moves on, more surrender. You have to surrender more. Today, so many percent surrender. Then, with time, you have to surrender more. Right? As time goes on, Krishna will say, hey, 50% will not do. I want 60. Then for a while you function on 60, then Krishna goes, I want 80. He might just skip 70, go straight to 80, and eventually Krishna wants 100%. Sometimes it is said, Krishna is not looking at what we are offering, Krishna is looking at what we are holding back. So we are meant to increase our offering. So this is what's happening, like you've been initiated some time ago, now you have to offer more than on that day. As time moves on, you have to increase the quality of life, of spiritual life. More and more. And yes, as my spiritual master likes to quote his teacher in school, and there was this teacher, Mr. Bennett, and Mr. Bennett used to say, now I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something that you're going to remember for the rest of your life. Okay? So I want you all to really, really wake up now. Don't sleep, because I'm going to tell you something you're going to remember for the rest of your life. Are you ready? Are you ready to hear it now, Well, what I'm going to tell you is that it all comes out in the wash. It all comes out in the wash. Mark my words, it all comes out in the wash. So it is a fact that every step of the way we have to surrender, and surrender means to conquer. We have to conquer our lower nature. We have to conquer our weaknesses. We have to conquer our lack of surrender. And it doesn't go away. If somewhere we try to avoid something, let's say one service we try to avoid, maybe it's book distribution. If it is, if it's that one, if that's the one we try to avoid, it will come back. It will come back. And if it doesn't, if we don't overcome it this life, it might come back in the next life. So, there's no such thing as avoiding. Avoiding. Krishna knows it all comes out in the wash. All our weaknesses, sooner or later we have to address them. We can hide them very nicely, smile also at the same time, but we have to overcome them. If we really want Krishna to be in the innermost chambers of the heart, the innermost chambers of the heart, Hridaya Kandare vo Satchinandana, in the inner chambers of the heart, thinking of the heart of many rooms, and the inner chambers. The outer chambers we share with others, the inner chambers, who knows? So the inner chambers, in the innermost chamber, there must be Satchinanda. Not Satchinanda Swami, that's also good. That is good. But we're talking now about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if Satchinanda Maharaj is there, you'll see him serving the feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yes, that is our objective. Therefore, these initiations are only steps, milestone steps, steps that stay with us. Not a step only today, but a step that stays with us for the rest of our life. These vows will be with us for the rest of our life, but these steps are meant to help us to become pure devotees. Okay? So that we go back to Godhead and get out of this material world, because it ain't no good, it's a miserable place. Dukhalayam shashvatam, it is temporary and it is miserable. And the miserable sometimes has sugar coating, that is the problem. It's like debate can look very tasty from the fish perspective. Imagine we are fish and we would see a big fat worm, we go, oh, look at that worm. Irresistible. But don't forget the hook. There is a hook. Yeah. So that's the material world. The more we enjoy the material world, the more we get hooked to the material world, to the material energy, and the more we get hooked to death. Bhuk means to what? To death. This body means it's going to end, and disease and all these things, birth, death, old age, disease, it's going to hit us. So we have to thoroughly, the purpose of this initiation is to go back to God in this lifetime. Not next life, not like, no, this very lifetime. Otherwise, what's the point? Yeah? So that's why we're doing this. So, Sthanam Sita Shruti Katam Dhanavan Manubir, that we stay where we are and we begin where we are. So we're all in different situations. Some are free like birds, some are tied down with chains and balls and family members and bills and contracts and loans to the bank, and who knows how we can be entangled. Whatever it may be, we practice our spiritual life from where we are, but back to Godhead, this life, we cannot compromise that. So after the initiation, we cannot act in any way that makes us take a step backwards. We cannot act in a way that we lose our spiritual progress. No, we're meant to remain fixed. That is the principle. Yeah. We are taking such initiations in public for various reasons. We have witnesses. Yeah? Oh yes, there are witnesses. We are being watched. Oh, you're making this promise. You have promised. Oh. Some of the devotees, someone was telling me they went to Tompkins Square Park in New York, right? And they came into the park and they sort of just stood there looking at the tree. And then in the park there are bums living, like this, who live on the street and so on. So one of the bums came and said, "You're supposed to embrace it. You have to embrace the tree and pray, So even the bums in the park are purified now, right? And they're instructing people what to do. The last time I was there and I sat on a park bench, this lady, she started talking and she started telling me the whole story, everything. She knew everything about the park, the whole history, like a professional tour guide. And then she told me everything about Prabhupada, and she had it all right. First she told me when the park was made and when the first, anyway, how it was developed and this, that, and what happened, and then how Prabhupada came and what he did under the tree and everything. I was like, oh gosh, it's like she works here, I mean, they all get purified by this arrangement. Anyway, so once you have a Brahmin thread, then people expect. They expect something from you. They expect that now you're going to show exemplary behavior. So there's that responsibility. Do not betray. If we would be wearing a thread and we would not follow, we betray. If you're initiated and you drink a cup of tea or smoke a cigarette, then you are betraying. You're betraying Prabhupada, you're betraying Krishna, you're betraying the teachings. So that is a sad thing. Then we should turn back. If we make such a mistake, can happen, then we should stop in our tracks and just think, what have I done? We should repent, we should return to the spiritual path immediately. And if we cannot do that, and we become hopelessly fallen, yes, then it comes to that stage where the vows beat our heart. I was in Sydney, I was sitting in a car, someone was sitting on a terrace outside, drinking. Yeah? looked like, at least it was a wine glass. I wasn't quite sure what was in there, but it was a wine glass. And then I saw all these people sitting at the tables, and suddenly someone stands up and walks towards my car. Then so knocks on the window, so I open it, and he says, "I'm also initiated." I didn't know. I mean, what do you say? Someone like that. I'm also initiated. Very nice, Prabhu. That's the best I could say, you know. I mean, try to encourage. But so I didn't tell him. Anyway, what's the use? But that's what I was thinking. I didn't want to discourage him and break his heart and tell him, what's the use? But what is the use if you don't follow? Some use is there. At least the vows beat your heart. Yeah? That's something. But for the rest, yeah. But even then at the end of one's life, when everything falls away, the vows may come back with a great force. Because at the end of life, things fall away very quickly. Everything disappears. All our power's gone, all our possessions. What can they do for us now? Then vows will be there. But better not wait for the end of life. Better now. Better now. Really make something of these vows. So with that, I have not spoken about the 10 offenses to be avoided in the chanting of the holy name. I will also not do that today. But I want to say, those who are sitting now in this yak, you should know these 10 offenses by heart. And if they don't, they better get them in writing and practice it, because that is a essential element in initiation. The 10 offenses in the matter of the holy name should be avoided. They include to be respectful to the name, respectful to the Vaishnavas, respectful to the Vedic literature, so a respectful attitude is required, and more. So I said these vows are taken in public, there are witnesses, but another reason why the vows are taken in public and why we thank the devotees for coming is because the Vaishnavas are offering their blessings. Yeah? So everyone is here to bless. And what will we do without blessings? See, without blessings, it's very hard. What strength do we have? Who are we to take such kind of vows and to keep them? So we need all the blessings we can get. So we need the blessings of the devotees. So in this way, we are fortunate. Okay, I'm going to move back a little bit, and then I'm going to call upon the candidates. Sometimes at these initiations, I give people the name, and then they go away, or I go away, and I see them 6 months later, and then I forgot the name. So if I give you a name today and I forget it, you know, first of all, I meet so many people. Second of all, I may only remember the name the day I give it to you, and then you go away, so can't blame me if I forget it. But well, the first beats I found was probably Hare Krishna. So Bhakta Pavel is living in Mayapur. Originally from which place in Russia? Ufa. Middle of Russia. And but he lives in Mayapur, and he is part of the team that works on the TUVP in Mayapur in the art department. And so that's a very nice service. And I used to live in Mayapur and do the construction of the Samadhi, and it stays, you know, that building. Right? So you're doing something for the devotees of the future. So it's a really nice service. All right, so his wife is Amboda. She will take second initiation. And so, what are the 4 regulated principles you promise to follow? If you don't know English, you can say it in Russian also. She has to tell me if she gets it right. And the other translate it. Thank you very much. I'm very happy about that. So, from this day on, you will be known as Pavan Gopa Das. I don't know Russian, so I wrote it in English. But Pavan Gopa, we were talking about him the other day. You remember? We went to Pavan Sarovar. And so Pavan, we remember Pavan also comes in the word Patita Pavan, the deliverer, the one who delivers many. So he gives the mercy to many. And then Pavan Gopa, also the father of Vishaka. Right. So Pavan for friends, I guess, but Pavan Gopa. Hare Krishna. So I met Bhakta Part here in Vrindavan, and he has been for a number of years been coming to our Parikramas in Vrindavan. And, he sings very nice. He has been studying in Bhakti Shastri, he did a Bhakti Shastri just now. And so I can see that he is a good, can be a very good preacher, leading nice kirtan, giving nice lectures. So I hope you will preach widely to many people. So what are the 4 regulated principles you promise to follow for the rest of your life? And in the meat eating, a little more detail. Okay. And how many rounds are you promising to chant every day without fail? Okay, so then from this day on, you will be known as Pyari Mohan Das. Pyar, of course, means love, and Mohan means bewilderment. So he is the Krishna, the one who can bewilder everyone with his love. Right? So the servant of that Krishna. Pyari Mohan. Hare Krishna. And last minute I chanted on. I did the beats on a japa walk from my room to here and finished them. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare So, what are the four regulated principles you promise to follow for the rest of your life? Yes. And how many rounds you promise to chant every day? Many? 16. Okay, that is very good. So then your name will be Ravi Lochandas. So we have all heard that that the sun is the eye of the Supreme Lord. So Ravi means the sun and Lochan means eye. It's a name of Vishnu, Ravi Lochan, the Lord his eye is the sun. So in this way, the Lord's glance is always blessing us. Very simple. So even behind the sunshine, we can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in this way, we're always closely connected. So with that name, Ravi Lochan, always closely connected to Krishna. Wherever you look, He's right, He's the source of it. Whatever we see. So Ravi Lochan means you always see Krishna. Then we have Bhakti Linda. Bhakti Linda is from Berlin. She's from Berlin, Germany. And she's always eager to preach and distributing books, which is something I like. So I hope you may do that for many more years to come. Sometimes you have these old ladies in our movement who are still distributing books. That would be really exciting. Not that I wish you to become an old lady so quickly. So maybe many, many years before you become an old lady. And keep on distributing books until then. That would be really nice. What are the four regulated principles you promise to follow for the rest of your life? Yes. And how many rounds you're promising to chant every day without fail? Minimum 16 rounds. Okay. Then I want to give you a name, which is beautiful name. Lekha Shravanti. There you go. Just 1 minute, don't run away. It means the one who likes to hear poetic descriptions about Krishna. I was in a rush and I didn't put all the diacritics, so you can look it up in the database. And I just had no time to. I was rushing out to the lake as well. There may be some dots here and there. Sravanti, there's clearly a dash there, but the dots are not sure. Bhakti Aneta from the Czech Republic, from a place called Svitovice. And when I first heard that place, I said, what? Svetadvip? So she is from Svetadvip. And let's first do the vows. So what are the 4 regulative principles you promise to follow? And how many rounds you promise you to chant every day without fail? Okay. The other day we were going to Prem Saravar, and she was walking next to her husband, and then he was taking pictures of the pigs that were all rolling in the mud. So I told him, he was getting so into those pigs, I told him, you better be careful, you might become a pig. Then I was teasing her and I said, what if he becomes a pig? And she said, then I will also become a pig because I have to follow my husband. So that was very nice. I appreciate it. We all appreciate very much. So for that transcendental consciousness, I want to give you a name about transcendence, and you will be known as Ananda Chinmaya Dasi. So straight from the Brahma Samhita, Ananda Chinmaya, and so on. So Chinmaya is the transcendental influence of Krishna, and one who takes great pleasure in the transcendental world, the transcendental influence of Krishna. So you always have that smile, so now let your smile come from seeing that transcendental world. Hare Krishna. So everyone else who sits in the fire, there are a few who got initiation in Brisbane too. Our Sanatan Goswami and then our Sneha Devidasi, they were initiated in Brisbane. And then disciple of Gopal Krishna Maharaj, yes? Your good name? Sri Bala Krishna Das, second or first? First. Very nice. Sri Bala Krishna Das is also here with us today. Gopal Krishna Maharaj is a wonderful devotee. A very intimate servant of Srila Prabhupada. He does so much service for Srila Prabhupada. Gopal Krishna Maharaj has many nice qualities. I remember coming to Gopal Krishna Maharaj in his room many years ago during Prasadam, and the Maharaj insisted that I would eat half. And I said, Maharaj, come on, I will go, I will eat somewhere else, you please finish. No, you cannot go, you must eat half. But Maharaj, you'll eat less. No, I want you to have half. So I could see he's very generous and caring, and he's a great preacher. He's preaching everywhere, and he pushes book distribution so much that Gopal Krishna Maharaj is extraordinary. Never rests, always pushes on, meets people endlessly. Incredible. He goes to meetings all day, then he preaches all day, And then if there's some holy place or some special day, then he runs to the holy place to take a holy dip. And then he comes back for another meeting. And then he does his puja. And then he's there doing Mangal Arati. Yeah. So in this way, an amazing devotee. So, I guess we'll carry on with the yajna now. So next beats, yes, should be changed. Should have been changed already, but I spaced it out. Sorry. Sorry to break off the kirtan, but there's one thing I forgot, because I don't usually do it, but sometimes I do, and that is I promised to also give saffron cloth to Antaryami today. So Antaryami, you come out and offer your base. Antaryami will also take second initiation today. Antaryami is from Malta, which is that little island of just at the bottom of Italy. They have their own language and their own culture, and not many devotees at all. They have no temple. He's one of the few devotees from Malta, and he joined in Australia, and that's where I met him. And now, my dear Antaryami, I'm giving you this precious gift. It is not very cheap. This cloth, my dear Antaryami, is cloth that is very special. Originally, this cloth, according to scripture, was only meant for sannyasis. And therefore it was a lifetime commitment. There's no way of taking it back. But then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, for the sake of preaching, gave this cloth also to the brahmacharis. So by his generosity, the brahmacharis can wear this cloth. And of course, with the brahmachari, the front door is closed, but the back door is open. It's not locked. Right? So the brahmachari is not making a lifetime commitment to its celibacy. That I will not ask. But what I'm saying is this cloth is not cheap. To somehow or other remain unmarried could be an advantage if it's not the main thing. If the main thing is devotional service. If we are just brahmacharis for the sake of being brahmacharis, then it is not very meaningful. Right? But if we are brahmacharis and use all the time and all the energy that we gain from being single, the simplicity for hearing, chanting and devotional service, then to be a brahmachari is the greatest thing. So may you be like that. May you wear this cloth and may you always chant. So may you try to rise as early as possible, not as late as possible. Okay? Many devotees are at the as late as possible rising, like 4:17, and then real quick run in that shower and run back out and run and sort of make it for Mangal Arati. No. Instead of getting up as late as possible, may you get up as early as possible and chant as many rounds as early as possible. That is, may you every day read substantial in the scripture, study them, and may you just be a humble servant of the Vaishnavas and the spiritual master. Brahmachari Gurukule Vasandanta Guru Hitam. The Brahmachari would stay in the ashram of the spiritual master and just be the humble servant. So, I've asked you to go to New York for some time and be the humble servant there. So please, be happy and may you wear it for a long, long time to come. Because and I say keep it in the bag, don't give it to the Matatis. Okay, you can look. Yes, he can look out. All right. So, sorry for interrupting the kirtan. Hare Krishna. No.
Hare Rama
So then we'll continue by chanting the Mangala Charan. And as we're doing so, upon Swaha, we'll throw grains in the fire. That can be done just like this with the middle fingers, like the head of a cow, you can see. And you just take the grains with these two fingers and then upon Swaha. Om Agyana Timanandasya Gyanandana Sarakaya Sakshu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Swaha 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 Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Rati Swapalantika Swaha 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 Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvitam Savadutam Prijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakam Vidamscha Swaha 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 Ye Krishna Dinabandhu Jagatpate Upisa Upika Kanta Yadakanta Namostute Swaha 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 Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suttadevi Pranamami Haripriye Swaha 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 Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Kadamba Kanana Swami Nittinamine Swaha 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 Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Gurudasa Jayadvaita Swami Nittinamine Swaha 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 Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Brahmacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pasyacha Desatarine Swaha 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 Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Uttale Shrimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Varsavani Devi Daitaya Tripaktaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhuruchvala Premadya Shirupanuga Bhaktida Sigura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shimurtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudapasiddhanta Vantaharine Swaha 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 Namo Gauri Kishoraya Saksat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Rasambodhe Madambujaya Te Namaha Swaha 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 Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satsindananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Swaha 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 Gurvibhava Bhumestvam Nirdishta Sajjana Priyaha Vaisnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannataya Te Namaha Swaha 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 Pancha Kalpatarubhyacha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Swaha 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 Namo Maha Vajanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Krishna Namaha Swaha 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 Panchatattvatmakam Bhakti-rupa Swarupakam Bhakti-avataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti-shaktikam Swaha 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 Jayatam Suratu Pangu Mama Mannamatir Gati Matsarvasva Padambujo Radha Madana Mohana Swaha 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 Divya Vrindaranya Kalpadrumada Shima Ratnagara Simhasanstu Shima Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prestadivi Sevyamano Smarami Swaha 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 Shriman Rasa Rasarambi Vamsivata Chatasitaha Karsan Venuswane Gopi Gopinata Shristunaha Swaha 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 Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Swaha 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Swaha Swaha Swaha. So then we get the final part of the yajna. We will all stand up, take the banana between two folded hands, and then we'll place upon swaha. We'll place the fire. One moment, put a little extra firewood because there's a lot of bananas. Namo Namaya Devaya O Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namo Brahmanya Devaya O Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namo Brahmanya Devaya O Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Swaha. Please put the banana carefully in the fire. Go close and put it in properly. Swaha Swaha. Put it in. Oh, you threw a hope in there also. So let there be kirtan, kirtan. Put the remainder of the grains, and then we can circumambulate the fire. And then after we circumambulate the fire, then we can distribute the fruits. Light the fire, and then after you can distribute the food. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Hare